Behavior Restoration's complimentary video series. My name is Sinead and I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. Today I wanted to further our discussion on the foundations of applied behavior analysis. Today we're going to be talking about how to decrease a problem behavior. Usually what we do in applied behavior analysis is we first go in and do something that is called a functional behavior assessment. Now this is just a fancy term for going in and figuring out why the heck someone is doing what they're doing. If they're dropping to the floor and screaming every 10 minutes, well, we want to know why they're doing that and what function that behavior serves. What will happen usually is the behavior analyst will go in and observe the client in their natural environment and take data on just what comes before the behavior, as we say the antecedent, then what behavior follows that, and the consequence. After analyzing this data, we can determine what exactly the function of the problem behavior was by seeing what consequence it got the person. For example, going back to the child that drops on the floor screaming, usually what follows that behavior, the consequence, could be the mother running over and saying, "Oh no, what's wrong?" So we have determined here, after seeing this scenario play out over and over again, that the function most likely is access to attention. Now, there are other reasons that a problem behavior might occur, and in ABA, we break this down into a nice little acronym, SEAT, which stands for sensory, escape, attention, or tangible. Now, most problem behaviors can be boiled down to these 4 different functions. An example of a problem behavior whose function might be access to a tangible could be a nonverbal child who screams out and no one knows why. Well, they finally discover that the function of this behavior was to get their iPad. So all that we do in this case is something called functional communication training, or FCT for the acronym. What we do is, once we've determined the function, we can go in and teach the client how to access that same exact thing in a more socially appropriate manner. So going back to the example of the nonverbal child that was screaming out to gain access to their iPad, what we could do is simply teach them a sign, or by using an augmentative communication system such as a pictorial display where different pictures are used to communicate what they need, or on a communication device, we would then just teach the client how to do that. Therefore, they are still getting exactly what they wanted, but in a socially appropriate manner. An example of a problem behavior that might serve the function of sensory stimulation could be what we call stimming behaviors, or stereotypical repetitive behaviors. For children on the autism spectrum, usually this will involve things such as hand flapping, spinning, and head banging. An intervention that we can use to decrease these behaviors is to make sure that the child has adequate sensory stimulation throughout the day, so they never reach a state of deprivation where these stereotypical behaviors need to be expressed in order for them to get that sensory stimulation that they are seeking. A great way to ensure that the child or client is getting the sensory stimulation that they need is to do something called a sensory diet, where we make sure that at all times of the day there are sensory activities throughout the day that are giving the client the input that they want. The last function of a problem behavior is escape. An example of the escape function would be, say, a child who, again, screams out as soon as it's math class. Now, after we've gone in and done a functional assessment, we've determined that the function of the problem behavior is escape. And their screaming usually is going to result in the teacher removing them from the room. We have now determined that they were engaging in the screaming behavior in order to escape the academic demand. Some interventions that we can use here, we can go back to functional communication training and teach the learner how to ask for a break. If they appropriately ask for the break, they are then given a 5-minute break and reinforced for appropriately accessing that break. This way, the child gets to escape the demand for a little while, which is why they were engaging in that problem behavior to begin with, but they are accessing it in a socially appropriate manner. In short, these are the 4 functions of problem behaviors and a brief introduction into functional communication training. I hope that you've enjoyed this bite-sized video. Please feel free to share this video. We will have more videos coming at behaviorrestoration.com. Please follow us on Twitter at BX_restore. Thank you.